Again, our panel now, Tom Borelli, Newsmax insider and contributor for America's Voice News. David Morey, DMG Global Chairman, best-selling author and co-author of the Leadership Campaign. Good to see both of you this morning. Let's get right to it. The evidence pointed out there by Emerald and obtained there by Newsmax here. Tom, your thoughts on this? Is this enough evidence to get the case dismissed against Michael Flynn?
Well, Shaun, first, thanks for having me. Absolutely. If you look at the complete record in context in its entirety, General Flynn was set up by the FBI. They went in with the idea of setting up a perjury trap, and they did what they wanted to do. It's a huge miscarriage of justice. At the beginning of January, per the report we just heard, there was no there with respect to Flynn's conversation with the ambassador for Russia. But that wasn't enough. And the same names pop up. Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, who encouraged Flynn not to have a lawyer. They didn't tell him he was under investigation. This entire thing is a complete setup. Every American should be outraged that the premier investigative agency of the United States was targeting a former general who was a hero, to remove him or to prosecute him. This is what Russia does. This is not what the United States should be about.
David Morey. David, I'd like to bring you in on this, get your thoughts on this. So many people upset. There's new evidence coming to light here that could potentially just be damning for the FBI and really so many others as well.
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a different tack here. Unfortunately, Shaun, this case has gotten very politicized. I think Tom might even agree with this on both sides. I wish I trusted Attorney General William Barr to do a more impartial investigation than he's likely to do. This thing has gotten heated up politically. Remember, Michael Flynn was convicted by our legal system. He's the 8th person, not to mention 25 Russians that have been convicted. You know who they are: Manafort, Stone, Cohen, Papadopoulos, etc., Gates. They've been convicted. He's the 8th, waiting sentencing. He was convicted by our legal system, not the FBI, but by our legal system. Number 2, Donald Trump himself fired Flynn for lying to the FBI and lying to his vice president, and he tweeted as such back in 2017. Number 3, I see things a little differently here. I'm not in any way comfortable with the behavior of Page and Strzok. Strzok was fired from the FBI, by the way, as was McCabe. The issue here, it seems to me, is when does the FBI not set someone up? Anyone who's interviewed for a security clearance knows they don't go in, being your best friend. I mean, the FBI, these are investigative techniques that the FBI uses all the time. So I'm not sure I see some black and white case of FBI malfeasance.
David, let me jump in and get, I want to ask really quickly, Tom, I'm going to get to you, but David, do you think that it was, he was rightfully convicted of these crimes, Michael Flynn? Of the one crime, rather.
He was rightfully convicted of perjury. Now, was he set up? That's another question. The FBI sets everybody up. That's what they do to protect national security. I think he was rightfully convicted of perjury.
All right, Tom, your thoughts.
I like David, but he's completely wrong on this one. Just go back to the videotape of former FBI James Comey, who was bragging about the way he made the decision to set up Michael Flynn before the White House was organized, before it could go through legal counsel. That is a description of a setup. And this is just amazing. This is what would happen in Russia. Remember, Flynn pled guilty because he was afraid the FBI was going to go after his son. That's communist tactics. That's not the United States. This is simply outrageous, and I can't believe that people looking at the same facts are getting away from the complete setup. And oh, by the way, Mueller had to know about this as well, but we didn't know about this until now. Why now? This is a complete outrage. Every American should be outraged about what's going on here. Total miscarriage of justice. The FBI doesn't set up everybody they interview. My God, what is this, Russia?
David, the president speaking about this, too, that he possibly would want to pardon Michael Flynn, if possible, and then also possibly look at bringing him back onto the administration. So clearly you see where the president's thoughts lie with this. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, look, the FBI does set people up that they think are lying. And it seems pretty clear that Michael Flynn was lying to the FBI and lying to the vice president. President Trump said that himself. In terms of bringing him back, look, there are issues with Michael Flynn that go beyond this. Michael Flynn has had a complicated career. He was fired by President Obama. This is not a simple case of victimization, I would say here. And I think we got to leave the politics out and let the courts decide where things stand.
Last comment from Tom.
Well, again, we saw the FBI notes. What's our goal? The truth? Or to get him to lie so we can either prosecute or get him fired? That is clear as day. That is a setup. You can spin all you want, David, but that was a setup. It's as clear as day.
We're going to continue this conversation in the second hour. I appreciate both of you on here and continue to share your insight on it. There's so many facets of this story. It's quite fascinating to talk about. Thank you both. That's Tom Borelli and David Morey. We'll talk to you in just a bit.